Welcome back to Bonkers for Boro, and as you can see, we have a very special guest joining us today. We've got Dimi Konstantopoulos, the unstoppable goalkeeper who helped Middlesbrough to get promoted under Aitor Karanka. How are you doing, Dimi? You all right?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all. Thank you very much for joining me. Well, I'm sure a lot of Middlesbrough fans will be very, very excited to hear from you. It was a really exciting time when you were at the club. It was a brilliant time, both on and off the pitch, I guess. There was a lot going on in terms of winning promotion and getting to the playoffs, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first of all, Dimi, so you're no stranger to Teesside. Obviously, you spent a bit of time with Hartlepool. You spent a few years there. So when the opportunity came to join Middlesbrough, when you heard about the interest from Middlesbrough, what were your initial thoughts?
I was very excited because I knew the club, I knew the history because of prior to that I was in the area with Hartlepool. My wife's from the area, and it was very amongst everything else. It was also convenient with me. I didn't have to leave home, and I knew Middlesbrough was a big club. So it was exciting, and it was something that I really, really wanted. It was something that I really wanted to make work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you arrived at Middlesbrough, and you arrived on a short-term deal to start off with. So you were arriving very much as a sort of backup goalkeeper. So from your point of view, Dimi, what sort of expectations did you have when you arrived at Middlesbrough?
And my expectations were always the same. Any club I played for, it was always to play football games. It was always to improve, help the team. So that didn't change. I, I never came to Middlesbrough to saw myself as a backup or as a number three or as a training goalkeeper. So yeah, my expectations were clear, but I knew I needed to have some patience uh, and prove myself, establish myself, and see how I could help the team. So yeah, that fortunately didn't take too long to do. So yeah, that helped me, and I think for my part, I helped the team as much as I could.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So when you arrived, I think I'm right in remembering that Jason Steele was the number one goalkeeper at the time. He sort of lost his place, and Shay came in on loan, and he had a little spell, a couple of months with the club, and did exceptionally well. And then he moved on, and so that's when your opportunity came. So when you were sort of when you were playing behind at that point, when you were behind Shay Given and you were challenging with Jason Steele, what were you sort of thinking in terms of your long-term future at the club? Did you think that this was going to be something that you were keen to stick with for a few years, or were you sort of thinking that you were getting a bit frustrated in that early stage when you weren't playing?
No, I was never faced by competition. I never doubted myself in my career, and for me, it was a case of finding the right opportunity, finding given uh, being given the right opportunity and the game to prove what I can do. So I there was competition. There was a goalkeeper that was playing for a couple of years already for the club, and another goalkeeper who was massive international name and with great experience. I was getting along with both fine, and when Shay came, it was an opportunity for me to actually learn even more because of his experience, because of his professionalism, um, and his personality as well. Uh, by that time, I was number two, and I felt I was a bit closer to playing. So yeah, I enjoyed that time as well because it was very useful to me, and I think I took a few stuff that learned from that time to use when I started playing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I think it's probably testament to you as a character and a personality as well. The fact that you came in and you were very much challenging for a first for a first team spot as well. Because I think you see it nowadays, in particular, where goalkeepers sign for clubs and they sign as a what appears to be a second or third choice in the first instance, and they're just sort of like happy being part of the I guess part of the goalkeeping sort of union. But you came in, you obviously had experience behind you, and you really backed yourself to break into the first team and become that first choice goalkeeper. So when that happened, when Shay Given left and you were given the opportunity, you were given your first real sort of crack at being Middlesbrough's number one. How did you take on the challenge?
I was really excited. I was looking forward to it, and I remember the first game I played in the cup. Nearly sort of came out of the blue, and Aitor Karanka came and asked me, "Do you want to play?" And I said, "Of course." I said, I said to him, imagine if I said to you that I don't want to play." Uh, and he said to me, "You'll be surprised how many goalkeepers would do that, being comfortable being on the bench and not really wanting to play." I couldn't understand that, as I said, because all my career was a goalkeeper because I wanted to play games. So yeah, that was my first experience at the Riverside at a cup game, and I think I just saw that he could trust me whenever he needed to. So when Shay left, I think the first game that I played made it easy for him to make the decision for me to play and have a run of games.
Definitely. Well, it was definitely a decision that paid off. And we'll go into it in just a bit, just how solid you were and just how solid Middlesbrough's defence were, because there was a lot of exceptional talent, I guess, from a defensive point of view. So if we go into the 2014-15 season, so obviously that was the season where Middlesbrough were challenging for the playoffs in that season. We were challenging for automatic promotion, and we ultimately ended up getting into the playoffs. And we got all the way to Wembley Stadium. We'd beaten Brentford in the playoff semi-finals, and we got to the playoff final at Wembley against Norwich. And obviously there was a bit of a story there in terms of the team arriving late at Wembley because of traffic. So what was all that about, Dimi?
I think it was a case of miscommunication or a slightly bad organization. So yeah, we arrived really late at Wembley, 45 minutes before kickoff. So we didn't have time to prep properly, and everything was a little bit rushed. Uh, so we skipped parts of the warm up as well in order to make it, and we ended up starting the game very slow and still a little bit disorientated. Before we knew it, we were down 2-0 the first 20 minutes. So yeah, that sort of made it very, very difficult for us to recover after that. And in a game like that, it was disappointing because we didn't just let ourselves down on that day. We just let our fans down, which were fantastic on the day.
Absolutely. So what kind from obviously you're saying there about the fact that parts of the warm up were skipped. So physically, there's obviously an impact, but psychologically, what does that sort of do to a player when your sort of pre-match preparations aren't going exactly as you sort of would think? Because I know that a lot of players they have obviously clubs have their own sort of like routines of what happens before a match in terms of meals, in terms of arriving at the stadium and that sort of thing. But players individually have their own rituals as well to get themselves into the right headspace for a game. So what does that do for a player psychologically when that plan kind of gets thrown out the window?
Yeah, psychologically, it's the biggest effect and the most important one. And physically, if you skip 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not a real problem. You'll catch up in the game. But uh, clubs collectively and teams and players individually have mini rituals before games. Um, it's good doing the same things. They're like triggers, psychological triggers. And players do that as well. I had many as well. I knew a lot of players that had theirs, which switch you on for the game. This disrupting them in such a big way. If you miss a couple of minutes or if you miss a couple of little things, it's fine. But when you miss a big chunk of, what has been your routine for a full season, in that such an important game, I think it plays a part collectively, not just to one or two players. So yeah, we look out of sync the first part of the first half, and we pay the price for it.
Absolutely. So you mentioned there about obviously the 2-0 defeat at Wembley and feeling that you'd sort of let yourselves down and you let the fans down and that sort of thing. So what was the feeling after the game, Dimi? What was the dressing room like after that defeat? And because it's such a, I always think with playoff finals in particular, it's not like getting to a cup final where you've had to conquer maybe 7-8 games to get there. At that point, you're talking it's been a 49-game season, so it's been a big old slog for everyone involved. So what's the feeling in the dressing room after that happens?
Yeah, it was pure disappointment. It was a lot of sadness, a lot of head down. People couldn't say much. We knew it was only us that we could blame. It wasn't a case of refereeing or the opponent being better or bad luck. It was just truly ourselves, because we knew we were better than what we showed on the day, and you know we knew we had to do something to fix that, and that's what made next season interesting for us, because it was a season that it couldn't come fast enough for us in order to try and rectify uh, the results of that game.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about the makeup of that Middlesbrough dressing room, because there was a lot of experience in that dressing room. There was a lot of leaders in there as well, and I think that certainly seemed to from the outside, it seemed to really benefit Middlesbrough over that summer, but then going into the next season. So when you think about the fact that we had you in goal, obviously you were an experienced goalkeeper at that time. You've got the likes of like Danny Ayala, George Friend, you had Dean Whitehead, Grant Leadbitter, Adam Clayton, people like that who had sort of been there and sort of done it. So from your point of view, Dimi, how important was it to have those sort of leaders in the dressing room at that time?
I think that's the most important for any team. Any team that's trying to either win a title or get out of a league. I think talent is important, quality is important, but characters are more important in order to create consistency. And uh, we had that in abundance that season and the season before. To be fair, we had great characters, because talent and quality, which you need, is going to take you so far. It's going to win you games, but personalities and togetherness is what's going to keep you consistent, and that's why consistency is the key for a successful campaign, to win games, and not so much um, to win games or not to lose games, but to get out of slumps. Because every time we go through a hard spell every season, usually the ones that get promoted are the ones who bounce back really quickly after 1-2 games. Get back in the winning trail, and not go in a prolonged you know prolonged period of bad results, which makes you lose touch with the teams in the top.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So from your point of view, Dimi, so who were the main leaders in that Middlesbrough dressing room at that time?
There were nearly all of us. Everyone brought something different to the table. Everyone had a voice. Everyone had their own way of asserting themselves in the team. Everyone was heard, so everyone was valued in the team. We had played with a lot of games on their feet, and but apart from that, we had a good understanding with each other. So we did know our strengths, we did know our weaknesses. We played to our strengths, and uh, we were a lot more flexible uh, than most teams. So we could. If there was a game that we were playing against a team, but they were football orientated. The good footballing team, we could match that. If we played against a team that was physical and long balls and challenges and crosses, we could match that as well. That's a big quality to have as a team, because I think when you, especially today, when teams have an identity, they tend to find it hard when they play outside their comfort zone in a way.
Hmm. Absolutely. So obviously you had the leaders in the dressing room, and then you had the sort of the more creative players at the other end of the field. So during that playoff campaign, it was people like Lee Tomlin. There was Patrick Bamford during that season. You had Yeli Vossa and those kind of players. So how good were those players when you were playing with those guys?
Oh, they were awesome. They were really good players. You could see the quality. You could see there were all of them players that they could change matches by themselves in a couple of minutes. They had that quality to create something out of nothing. So yeah, we were lucky to have them, and we were trying to support them, and our job was basically not to consider the back, so let them do their job at the front, and usually won the games.
Absolutely, and you say about Middlesbrough's defence during that time, and about how your job was to sort of keep things solid at the back. That was a real theme under Aitor Karanka, wasn't it? It was something that he really, I mean, certainly compared to the Middlesbrough team that sort of preceded Aitor Karanka coming in. There was a few leaky goals that were being conceded previously, and then Aitor Karanka came in, and to be fair, it coincided with you taking that place between the sticks as well. So what was, from your point of view, what was maybe the secret to Middlesbrough's defensive solidity during that time?
I think responsibility was the biggest one. We were all very responsible to what we had to do. We communicated well. We worked as a unit, and that doesn't mean just me in the back four. The whole team put a shift defensively for us to keep clean sheets. So yeah, I think that was the secret: accountability, responsibility, and if someone made a mistake, we knew about it. Uh, Even when there were tense moments and words were exchanged that didn't leave the dressing room and that didn't last, you know, uh, after the game. So we knew that everything was said was for the make each other better, and whatever it was said, it was to try to push each other. So yeah, after the game, we'll be forgotten and we'll go to the next one.
Absolutely, and you've obviously been able to, as part of that defensive lineup, you've been able to write your name into the Middlesbrough, but also the Championship history books in terms of a clean sheet record. So if I think I'm right in saying it was 9 consecutive league clean sheets that you achieved during the 15-16 season, and I believe it was it 15 clean sheets in total over the course of that campaign? Is that right?
Yep. 22.
22,
Yeah.
22 clean sheets, and so that was a real that was quite a tool to have in Middlesbrough's armory during that season. So how special is that for you to be a part of that that kind of like history making side?
It's great. It's brilliant. Adding to your own records, especially in a campaign that meant so much for a big club, and ending up in a successful campaign as well. That makes it even more, even sweeter. Uh, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed keeping the clean sheets. As a team, we enjoyed keeping clean sheets. We knew that was the base for us to build something in each game. Um, we didn't go to games just to keep a clean sheet. We went to games to win them, but we knew with our quality up front to manage to defend uh, as a unit and you know keep uh, keep our goal intact, we would be able to win games. And it was a recipe that worked for us throughout the season because it was it was hard to score against us. And as soon as you sort of create a bit of reputation, it plays a bit of psychological role to the opponents as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. I think you see it like even nowadays, really, that a really solid promotion push is built on a solid defense, isn't it? I think we're seeing it quite recently with Middlesbrough's current side or most recent side, I guess, under Michael Carrick, that you can play all of the attacking football you want, but if you're not able to keep clean sheets at the back, it's going to be very, very difficult to challenge at the top end of the championship. So I just want to ask you a little bit about Aitor Karanka Dimi. So you were mentioning there, I noticed you were saying about the defensive clean sheets and like the responsibility of the team to kind of to own up to their errors and be responsible for their own performances. So Aitor Karanka, what was he like on a day-to-day basis?
He was a very good, person. He was, he was fun to be around. Obviously his English wasn't the best when he first came, but he was perfectionist, and I think that's what transmitted through the team, and that's the culture it passed on through to us. That we, no matter how good we played the game before, we had to get better. That was by pushing ourselves and by pushing each other. So he set high standards, and he, demanded people to follow them. Uh, as long as you did that part, and you showed that you're trying to improve, you showed that you tried to improve the team. There was no problem. But you didn't want to get on his bad side either. As a team, we done it a few times by losing games. Then it didn't take defeat very well. So yeah, we knew best not lose the game, otherwise we're in trouble.
Was there any particular examples of times when he you maybe saw his angry side after a game?
Yeah, you couldn't see it straight away. It wasn't one of them manager that was shouting in the dressing room, or you know throwing bottles and stuff like that. We always be calm after the game, but you knew what was coming the next day. Uh, there would be days he wouldn't, for a couple of days, he wouldn't speak to us after defeats. Uh, so yeah, we knew he was mad. We knew he was angry. So yeah, but when you have strong characters, that actually pushes players to become better instead of folding. Because when you have a dressing room of weak personalities, that could actually push the team to get worse and give up in a way. But because we had personality, he knew that. He knew he could push the limits, uh, because it would make us try to get better, even if it was to prove him wrong. So he played on that really well, and obviously that brought results.
Mhm. Absolutely. He always sort of came across in the media as a very serious person. He always kind of came across quite straight faced. You very rarely saw a smile or a joke sort of come out of him. Is that a fair reflection of what he was like, or was there another side to him as well?
He was never a joker because his English wasn't the best, but he wasn't as uh, serious as he was in the interviews and in front of the media. I think that's what the profile he was choosing, and he didn't want to give too much away, potentially the opponent before and after games. But with us, we had conversations. You could talk to him one on one, make a joke every now and then. So yeah, it's what you see in front of the camera is rarely the person that's behind it in football.
Mhm. Absolutely, and obviously Karanka he worked previous to that. He'd been with Real Madrid, and he'd worked with Jose Mourinho. He was his number two with Real Madrid, and he was very much when he came to Middlesbrough, he did very much sort of feel like the sort of, I guess, the apprentice turning into the master sort of thing. So could you see similarities? Obviously, Mourinho was a very reputable figure. Everyone knew about him in the UK and around the world from a football point of view. So could you see those similarities when Karanka came in?
Yes, I could say that we knew that Jose Mourinho was a great tactician and a very good at mind games, either with the opponents or the media or even with his own players. And then Aito did that. There were times that he played mind games with us, and that was to make us push ourselves. Um, there were team talks at halftime that we were winning the game comfortably, and we thought went in halftime thinking this is good here, but he would come in and start tell us off. But that was targeted and on purpose for us not to get complacent, and it would work. We'll go and see in the second half, and you feel even more comfortable in that game and just finish it off. Well, if we did get really complacent, we could have had a issue second half or end up losing points. So he was great at that. He tactically he wanted his team to play a certain way, and he wouldn't change it a lot, apart from little tweaks here and there. But I think that worked for him as well because of the fact we played the same formation most, if not all of the time. We knew how to play it really well. So our game would get faster. We could adapt as a team. So but most of the time, that made the opponents try to adapt to us because we played the formation so well.
Mm. Absolutely. I just want to ask you about from the last question on Karanka is I want to ask you about one game in particular which will stick in a lot of fans' memories, and that was the away match against Charlton Athletic. So that was in 2016. It was on the road to getting promoted, but it was the game I'm sure you remember it, the one where he famously went AWOL over the course of the weekend. So we were building up to the game against Charlton. Things hadn't exactly been going well. Things weren't going particularly well for Charlton either. And well, you could maybe tell us the rest of what happened from over the course of that weekend, Dimi.
No, it followed the game of at Rotherham, which we got beat. Our performance wasn't good enough, even though we missed chances to finish the game. We got a sucker punch in the end of the game, and we ended up losing 1-0. And uh, you know, tempers were high after that game because we knew we're better than that. Obviously, the manager wasn't happy, and after the game, the second day after the game, I think we had a meeting. I can't remember when. Uh, the manager called for a meeting with the players, and we sat down to talk about probably leave it behind that game, and 'cause we knew we were at the final stretch of the season, and but I think it was a bit too raw still, the Rotherham defeat, so tempers weren't quite settled, so things were said. Uh, so yeah, the Aitor just sort of lost his head a little bit, and he just walked out. And we knew he was hard to bring him back at that moment because we knew his one of his strengths and weaknesses was being a bit stubborn. So we knew it would be difficult for him to come back at that time. Uh, but we knew that we needed him to be back, and he knew that he needed to come back to finish the job. So after he stayed, the Charlton game away, which we lost again, and you could tell that it was affecting the team. He came back, and I think after that we went into a 10 run and defeated games, and we finished the season strong.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, so he walked out of that team meeting. Obviously, you say the tempers flared a little bit, and then so did you just not see him again until after the Charlton game?
No, we didn't see him again. I spoke to him through messages for a couple of times because we had a good relationship. Uh, and I was telling him that he has to come back because we have to finish what we started. And he said that that I should keep my head for the game, and don't worry about the rest behind the scenes, and things will get fixed and stuff like that. So I knew he didn't want to go because I knew it was a case of proving his point in a way that without me you can win games, sort of thing. So yeah, I knew, but as a whole, we needed to feel uh, complete again to go on the last 10 games run that we had. But I think after that, it was something a little bit broken between the relationships of the managers, some players, which we concealed for the remainder of the season because we're professionals. We knew that we had to get promoted, but it showed a little bit the season after.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, what was going through? I know you were saying that you'd had messages with Karanka and stuff, but what was going through the players' minds when you were traveling down to London, like either flying down or on the team bus, and the manager's not there? Were you a little bit surprised at how far this walkout had sort of gone, or were people expecting that he would have been available again to come down to Charlton, or what was the sort of feeling? Because I can only imagine that people were quite dumbfounded by the fact that they were going down there without a manager.
It was strange because you're not used to these situations and don't happen every day. Um, there were chats, but the main chat was we need to focus on the games. Whatever happened, and we have to do our jobs on the pitch. But obviously, you can tell it wasn't the same atmosphere, and the fact that we played a team that they were basically, they didn't have much to lose. They were in a turmoil with the fans as well. The game was a little bit spoiled by interruptions from the fans. And we couldn't find our rhythm, and all that affected our game. Uh, and we ended up losing the game again, same as Rotherham. We had chances to win it, but we didn't take them. So we looked a little bit shaken about that 2 game period. Uh, but we came back strong, which shows again our resilience and our personalities in the dressing room.
Mhm. Absolutely. And on a more positive note, I want to go to the final day of the season against Brighton. So obviously it was a hugely memorable day. You don't need me to tell you exactly what happened on that day because you were very much a huge part of it. So the score was 1-1. Very end of the game, Brighton were pushing forward. They were obviously trying to get a winning goal because that would have completely changed the whole promotion picture. With them, they would have then leapfrogged Middlesbrough and got into the automatic promotion places. But very last kick of the game, the ball comes into the box, and we've seen clips of it on social media of ball coming into the box and Dimi Konstantopoulos rising highest above everyone, claiming the ball and going down. It was the biggest cheer of the afternoon. So, from your point of view, Dimi, what was your feeling when you grasped that ball and you knew what it meant for the club?
I didn't know exactly what it meant at that time because after the 90-minute stop at the Riverside, there's no time to see the extra time, the injury time added. There was no clock. I knew it was 8 minutes, which seemed like 8 hours, but we didn't know what stage of the game you are. But as soon as I got the ball, and I remember I went down, I had the roar of the stadium, and I glanced at a few of the boys had their arms in the air. I thought, "Dude, that must be it." Uh, but apart from that, that was, me coming out because people ask me the question, that important of a game, that important of a take, being brave or whatever. It was an instinct. A big part of my game was coming out and collecting crosses, uh, which I've done throughout my time playing for the club, and I felt comfortable doing it. Uh, the lads knew I, I was gonna do it. So when I would come out to protect me basically and not go challenging for the ball. So yeah, for me it was instinct. It's not like I calculated the moment of the game. I saw the ball, I knew I could get there, and I went there. Obviously, looking back, you realize the importance of that catch, and you realize the importance of a possible fumble of that ball. But that's what football is about. So yeah, it was a great moment, and finishing the game with the ball in my hands was even more special.
Absolutely, no. I can only imagine the feeling. So, from your point of view, Demi, where does that rank in terms of your career highlights?
Oh, it's one of the most important moments in my career. Something that you carry with you forever. Those moments, those feelings, so intense and intense in the right way as well. Having a town which was so united those seasons and behind the team, uh, being a part of a team that it's has such good players and having that bond as well between us. Everything was clicked that season, and it would be a shame if we didn't end up in promotion because so many factors that pushed uh, for that direction. It wasn't easy. It never is the championship, especially, but it did worth it in the end.
Mhm. Absolutely, and obviously, what came after that was life in the Premier League, and it's I think even more so nowadays. But it's such a big challenge to go up to the Premier League and sort of bridge that gap and try and consolidate your place in the Premier League, given the huge clubs that are sort of up there. So Middlesbrough obviously went into that season and made a lot of changes in the playing team. There was a lot of players brought in, including two goalkeepers, Brad Guzan and Victor Valdes. So first of all, Dimi, what were your thoughts on those two as individuals, and I guess what did it mean for you from a challenge perspective?
I wasn't sure. For me, it wasn't again. I wasn't phased or I didn't feel threatened by it because I always welcome competition, and I thought two new goalkeepers, two new challenges for me, and a chance for me to improve even more. But I didn't have any information or um, any word from the club or what their plans were with me. I thought because I got promoted and I was a part of the team the last two seasons, successful seasons, that I would at least be given a chance, get into the Premier League. Uh, so no one spoke to me. No one said to me, "Look, you're going to be number three or not in the squad for this season." Because if it did, I would have said, I would have had my saying or say, "Okay, then I want to go and play." And I did have offers to go, other clubs wanted me. Uh, but Middlesbrough never really negotiated or even thought about letting me go. I was always being reassured that I was a part of the team, a part of the plan, and it was frustrating because I couldn't break into the squad, never mind the team. Uh, but I was being told that I was a part of it. So yeah, it was a frustrating time for me because I felt like I had I had to offer still for the team, and it was hard to see the team struggle in the Premier League and not being able to help really. Uh, but I wasn't the type of player that I would create problems and going to uh, the battle with a club about leaving or whatever. And I cared about the club a lot. So yeah, I was trying to help as much as I could in the background.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and there was a lot of changes going on at that point. So obviously, we're talking about the goalkeeping department, but there was a lot of new players brought in across the whole team. And I think I can say it from a fan's point of view. Like I think fans sort of felt it as well. I think fans really kind of bought into the team that had won promotion. I think everyone knew that all of the players in that team were kind of giving it their all. They were very much playing for the shirt of Middlesbrough, and it was evident to see that everyone was doing it with Middlesbrough's best interests at heart. But it felt from a fan's point of view that team in the Premier League maybe didn't have that. You were kind of bringing in players who maybe just wanted to play in the Premier League. Middlesbrough was just an opportunity to sort of do that. So, from your point of view, Dimi, what was the dressing room like during that time in the Premier League? Was there a notable difference from the team in the Premier League to the one that was challenging for promotion?
Yeah, it wasn't the same. It was a mixed dressing room. It was all the guys were good. All the guys were fine, but the chemistry wasn't there. You could tell there wasn't much stink between the players. Partly because there were a lot of new players, and they needed time to gel. And partly because there was a lot of players that didn't necessarily knew the culture of the club, that didn't knew the culture of some of them, the culture of the country or the league. That made it even harder. Um, and it showed, I think, on the pitch. We had some players with good quality, but we looked like a little bit disjointed as a team, which was, it wasn't the case the 2 seasons before, being in sync what won us games before, and didn't look like we're anywhere near, that back then.
Hmm. Absolutely. So from your point of view, Dimi, so what would you say? Obviously, you were very much a sort of, I guess, part of seeing what was kind of going on at the club at that sort of time. So from your point of view, what went wrong for Middlesbrough in the Premier League? From your perspective now, potentially like looking back with hindsight, what did Middlesbrough get wrong when they got promoted? What do you think they should have done differently to give them a better chance of staying up ultimately?
I think when you have a core of you know proven players that they got out of the championship, which is a hard thing to do, um, and we saw that, not just, it's not just my opinion, but we saw it with various clubs going to the Premier League and staying there for a few years, that they added to their squad slowly. So they added quality slowly. Uh, Naturally, when you go to the Premier League, you're going to be a better player because you're playing against better players. So bringing slowly better quality in your team and let it blend. I think that makes it easier. Uh, Helps the players who got there to become better, and also helps the new players to get integrated to the team quicker and become a better unit. Uh, we saw that, for examples of Burnley the first couple of seasons when they went up, with Bournemouth when they went up, and they kept players from League Two all the way to the Premier League, and those players became established Premier League players. So it's not like, for me, it's not like you go out and get out of the championship. You have championship players. You need Premier League players. No, the players evolve. Players get better all the time. Uh, you just have to have a little belief and trust. So yeah, for me that was the key. We brought a lot of players, a lot of them good players, uh, but there was no gel between the players.
Mhm. Absolutely. And from your point of view, Demi, so what was it like playing alongside someone like Victor Valdes? Obviously, he came into Middlesbrough. He'd had a legendary career at international level and with Barcelona, and he'd been with Manchester United. So, from your point of view, what was it like? What was the experience like rubbing shoulders with someone who had kind of been there and done it at the very highest level of the game?
It was fine, and when he first came, I thought, what a great opportunity for me to challenge someone who's done all that. We had a great career. Um, his mentality was different. I don't think he was as committed to Middlesbrough or football in general that season. Um, and he had a different mentality than me altogether. We did get along fine, uh, but it wasn't. We were on the same page, if you want to call it, as in what we're trying to achieve or how much you push ourselves. Uh, I guess if you're coming from a career, playing the Champions League and stuff, you see going to Middlesbrough as a downgrade. Uh, but for me, it was where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in the Premier League, and I wanted to stay there. Uh, so yeah, I think the level of responsibility that everyone felt at the club, every one of the players, wasn't the same level.
Did that did that make things even more frustrating for you? Obviously, we said before about how you felt that you should have been getting an opportunity as with Middlesbrough in the Premier League. I know that I'm pretty sure every single fan thought the same thing, that you deserved an opportunity to carry on being Middlesbrough's number one, particularly given how dominant you were in the Championship. So did that make it even more frustrating that at that point you were being kept out of the team by someone who, reading between the lines of what you're saying, his heart wasn't really in it?
Yeah, it was very frustrating. It was, deeply frustrating because when you see you can help, but you really can't, uh, it's strange. Uh, I knew most of the boys, especially the ones that we got promoted, wanted me back because they felt more at ease. Um, but there was nothing we could do, and there was nothing I could do apart from training every day as hard as I could and showing that I still can and waiting for a chance, which unfortunately didn't come. It was a shame to finish that season like that, but yeah, it was never late. So hopefully, I'll do it as a coach in the Premier League.
Absolutely. We'll get on to that in just a little bit, because I'm really interested to hear about what you're up to now and your sort of plans for the future. And so I think just rounding off that time in the Premier League. So obviously, Aitor Karanka left the club towards the end of the season, and it sort of felt that from that point on that he wasn't really replaced as manager. It was Steve Agnew who took over for the rest of the season. It did kind of feel that it was sort of just a case of seeing out the season at that point. So what were your thoughts when Karanka left the club, and did you see it coming?
It was speculation that it was, he would go, he wouldn't go. So it wasn't something that was unexpected. Yeah, I think, as I said, the fact that something was slightly broken the season before and things weren't going very well result-wise on the pitch that season. I think, I saw it as a matter of when. Uh, I was expecting him to finish the season and then maybe this to happen, but obviously uh, people above him decided that it was the time. So yeah, it wasn't something that unexpected. I don't think many fans were shocked uh, by it. Uh, Maybe the timing was maybe a little bit early, but again, it was something that it was brewing. I think.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so obviously Middlesbrough's time in the Premier League came to an end, and you stayed with Middlesbrough through until 2019 in the end before moving on. So looking back, Dimi, what are your thoughts on Middlesbrough? What are your thoughts on your time at Middlesbrough, and what kind of relationship do you have with the club now?
Uh, my memories are all. Middlesbrough will always have a soft place in my heart. It's a club that I spent most of my career with. The longest uh, for 6 years, and we had many ups and downs, mainly ups while I was there. And it's a club that took me in uh, since the beginning, and the fans appreciated hard work. They appreciated my work ethic, and you know it's good to have the backing of the fans, and uh, fans like you because it's a huge boost as a player. So it wasn't a group of fans that they wanted big signings all the time or wanted big names and stuff. They were people who, if you put the effort and you show you're capable, they'll back you. So yeah, it's a big club, which for me should be in the Premier League constantly. Uh, the people deserve that, the fans deserve that, and it's got all the base to do that. It's a case of just breaking through again and sticking there instead of you know going down and starting all over.
Definitely. Well, I certainly think in terms of your relationship with supporters, I think fans are hugely appreciative of not just what you did in terms of helping Middlesbrough to get promoted during that time. It wasn't just about the defensive record and how well you performed, but I think just what we were kind of saying in that last section of the chat about how much you sort of embraced the club, how much you've embraced the area. I know that you've got sort of like personal connections to the area, and I know that you still sort of live in the area. And I think all of that helps with the overall picture of fans truly knowing that you were really bought into Middlesbrough and Teesside as a whole. And I think ultimately that's why fans still look back so fondly at your time with Middlesbrough, because ultimately it was a really special time for the club. And I think fans can really appreciate when players are fully on board with what's going on at the club. So we mentioned it just then, Dimi. So what are you up to nowadays?
I'm a coach. I just I'm about to sign a contract in Greece. The club as an assistant manager for this season. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for me. It's a good club in my hometown, which is a big club. It's been one of the longest members in the Super League in Greece, in the Premier League. But 2 years ago, had some financial troubles, and now it's been rising again. So it's but now in the second division of Greece, but we're the favorites to go up. So I'm excited to be part of the project. I'll be assistant manager, which uh, I want to to progress. Because the goal is to be a manager at some point. So yeah, it's a good learning curve for me. Uh, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Oh, congratulations for that. What club is it, Dimi? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, it's called Iraklis FC. It's one of the three biggest clubs in Thessaloniki and one of the few big ones in Greece in general. As I said, it went down due to financial problems 2 years ago, but now everything's back stable. Great fan base, good stadium, good facilities. So yeah, we're going to do our best to take the club back where it belongs.
Oh, that would be brilliant. And you say that your aspirations long term are to move into management.
Yes, naturally, as a goalkeeper, people see you as a goalkeeping coach because you're an expert in that position, and I did that as well. Start my coaching career. I do enjoy it because it's something I've done all my life. But I want I want to be involved with the team. I believe being a manager has got no ceiling. It's up to you where you can take it. Uh, so I have ideas. I have my own philosophy. I I did a little bit. I did a little bit. I did some assistant managing as well, or first team coach the last 4 years that I've been coaching, and I know the players. They respect me, and I can pass my ideas to them. So yeah, it's what I want to do, and you know, eventually, I think it will happen. It's just picking the right time.
Absolutely. No. Well, congratulations on the new role, and best of luck in your pursuits of becoming a manager. I think my one piece of advice would be don't walk out of a team talk and then don't come back for a few days after. I think that'd be my main advice.
Yeah, that's not that's not my plan.
No.
Football, football is a game with a lot of emotions, but I've always been quite calm as a personality, so I don't think I have that danger.
No, absolutely no. But I'm sure you've, on a serious note, I'm sure you've played under some brilliant managers who you'll have been able to learn a lot from, good and bad, but all stuff which will be able to shape what you want to do as you move into this new role and then moving forward as well. So no, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes for you, Dimi. So yeah, well, thank you very much for coming and joining me on the channel. It's been brilliant to look back over your time with Middlesbrough and look back at some of those great memories of just a few years ago. So where can fans keep up to date with what you're up to, Dimi, and how things are going in that new job for you?
I've got obviously I'm on social media. I've got Instagram and X and Facebook. So yeah, updates will be there, and I try to respond to fans as much as I can. I've always been like that. I like to you know keep in touch with fans and ask the questions when they ask me. So yeah, any updates will be there.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining me. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit like and hit subscribe as well. And I'll catch up with you next time.